In the last video, we did a fairly simple program where we tested the light level, and if the light level was less than a certain amount, then it switched the LEDs on, and otherwise it cleared the screen. So that you could use this, for example, as a security light, and if it starts getting dark, it switches the lights on, and if it's light enough, then it doesn't, and therefore doesn't waste electricity. But these LEDs are probably not powerful enough. So what would be preferable is if the light level fell below a certain amount, then it switched an actual fully powered light on that would provide enough light. And you can do that using the pins. So at the bottom here, if you look on the left-hand side of your screen, where you see the 0, the 1, 2, 3 volt and ground, these are pins and all the little lines in between. These are different pins available to you, which you can use for inputting information, getting information from the environment, such as the light level or moisture level or things like that, or for outputting, for sending a signal to a relay to be able to switch a light on, for example, or to start a pump, an irrigation pump. So if the moisture level falls on a pot plant, then you can have a little pump which will pump water into the pot plant. And then when the moisture level goes up, it stops pumping, so you don't waste water. But you can keep your pot plant happy while you're on holiday. Well, we're going to replace this particular program with something that would actually interface with the outside world. So I'm going to get rid of those LEDs and the clear screen. And instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use these pins to actually send a signal to a relay, which will then switch a light on or switch it off if the light falls below a certain level. So if you go down, so I'll just undo that, you'll notice at the bottom it says advanced, and if you don't see anything beneath that, if you just click on the little arrow, then you get functions, arrays, etc. And one of the options available to you is pins. So if I click on pins, you can see that you've basically got some read and write. Well, read is when you get information in. So the chip will read what comes into it. It will read any input into the system. And when it writes, what it's doing is it is sending information out. For example, a pulse of electricity, which will turn the switch for the light on or off. So, how do we do that? Well, obviously we're going to be writing to a pin to switch a light off, to switch a light on or keep it off. So I'm going to be using that one. And I guess on the start, that signal should be saying off. In other words, when it's starting, the light should be off. That should be the default position. Now, you'll notice over here you have a 0. And computers have two options available to them. It can either be 0 or 1. Electricity flows or it doesn't flow. And all of computing is based on this binary. Electricity flows or it doesn't flow. So normally 0 means electricity doesn't flow. But for our system, because we're using a relay, our relay uses a system called active low. And active low means that these are reversed. In other words, if we change this to 1, what that 1 means is sending that signal to the relay means that the electricity will not flow to the light. In other words, there will be the light will be switched off. So on the start, the light must be switched off. And then if the light level falls below a certain level, and it's inputting this in the usual way by its default input, then just duplicate that. What it's going to do is it's going to send an on message to the active relay switch, active low relay switch. And that is done by sending a 0. And that will turn the light on. Otherwise, if we duplicate that one, then we won't have to change it. Otherwise, it'll switch it off. So if this rises again, it'll switch it off. So, one thing we should probably do is have a reset button. So if we have a reset button, then under any circumstances, when we press button A, it'll send a 1 to the relay, which will mean electricity does not flow. And that's basically it. Quite a simple system which just sends a message via the pin. Pin 12 is over here, and we would attach a little crocodile clip there, which will send electricity down the line to the relay. It'll send the message 1 to turn it off and 0 to turn it on. Take a screenshot and upload.